Well, ESPN did the work. I just put two and two together. I got to be honest with you guys. Our Mountaineer fellers are making some big money.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby. I appreciate you guys for jumping in with me here today as we talk a little bit about the Mountaineers again, and I'm excited about it. All right, I've got some feedback going on here. There it is. Found it. Okay. Um, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. Right now with FanDuel, there's a big deal going on, which we'll tell you about a little later in the episode, but football season is around the corner. So visit FanDuel apps today to start planning your future bets now. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Appreciate y'all for joining in on the site with me. ESPN did the work, like I said earlier. We're going to share a screen over to ESPN just for a quick minute or two to get the overall vision of what they had going on here. But so this is written by Max Olson. How much does each position cost? And it goes on to talk about the price tags for each position. How much does a Power 4 starter cost at each position? To answer that, ESPN surveyed more than 20 general managers and agents. The goal was to better define the price ranges for each spot based on the deals completed for 2025 and what each side considers fair positional market value. Okay, so now you have the framework. I've taken this and applied it to what I know the NIL number to be on the West Virginia side of things was somewhere north of $15 million. And so we're going to use that and some other math around and try to determine based on a couple of things that I know. And we're just going to place a number on some of these guys. So it's an interesting deal. And it's definitely different for everybody, right? Like we know there are some quarterbacks that are making over $2 million. We know there's one guy that made $4 million. We know there's one guy that made $8 million and so on and so forth. Like Darian Mensah at Duke, for instance, made a huge pot of money. Or at one point in time, we know Nicco Marchiol was making $4 million at Tennessee, or Bryce Underwood, or Nebraska's Dylan Raiola. There are exceptions, or Arch Manning or Florida's DJ Lagway all make great money. But the average quarterback paycheck is somewhere between $1 and $2 million. So I have placed a Nicco Marchiol / Jaylen Henderson. Because the way that Rich Rod has structured this is it's whoever wins the job. I don't think anybody has stepped in. So they're going to structure it based off what you end up being. And this is the way he's put it in press conferences. So they have an idea for how much somebody's going to make within reason at each position. And so they're going to structure it around who wins the jobs. Like we said, maybe they already know that. Maybe they don't. Maybe there are certain guarantees that we don't know about. But generally speaking, I have Nicco Marchiol at about $1.2 million right now. Obviously, that could be Jaylen Henderson as well. It could also be Max Brown at some point if he wins the job. But generally, I think that's where we're at with those guys. It's a little bit more confusing because of where it's all at in our quarterback competition. So not exactly a finite number there, but I would guesstimate for West Virginia, we're middle of the Power 4. We're not top of the Power 4. We're not bottom of the Power 4. We're probably right there in the middle amongst all teams. Around 1.2 million is what we're looking at based on the numbers ESPN gives us to kind of go by. If you look at the running back spot, ESPN's range is between 300,000 and 700,000. I've got Jaheim White at 600K. That's where I'm placing him. I am within that range. Is he the best running back in college football? No, not yet. He hasn't proven that. Is he one of the best? Absolutely he is. He's an elite junior running back who had almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. And most of us were disappointed with that. We thought he had an off year. So we feel like he should be much better this year in this offense. Sky's the limit for what he can do there. Now you've got wide receivers and you've got 3 starters at wide receiver. And this is why I think you've seen West Virginia go. Obviously, you kept Jaden Bray in the fold. You go out and spend money on Cam Vaughn, who probably made some good money at West Virginia. And you got a hometown discount with Rodney Gallagher. And then you go out and get a bunch of lower level guys like Logan Ramper and such, right? So, all these numbers aren't going to be equal. But I'm going to say your number one guy in Cam Vaughn is probably around $500K, right? You want to talk about probably between $200K and $400K for a guy like Jaden Bray, and probably around $200K for a guy like Gallagher. I'm just guessing numbers here. It's hard to place between 400 and 800 because I just don't think we spent that on the guys that we brought up because they're from such a lower level. But maybe that's the number. Maybe that's all, you have to work within that. But I'm guessing that Cam Vaughn's right around 500K. I'm guessing that Rodney Gallagher's right around 200K. And I'd say that Jaden Bray somewhere right around 300 or 400K, somewhere in there. But overall, I would say West Virginia spent between $1 to $1.5 million on the receiver room, outside receivers. And that's not counting slots. A guy like Man Singleton, probably another 300 or 400K, right? So the receiver room is definitely, it's deep, but I do think they spent some money on it based on my projections. And guys, like I said, don't take these numbers at 1,000% hard. This is an estimation based off the research ESPN done. I thought it would be a fun exercise for us to do. And, it's kind of shocking to see just how much each position's making, right? To actually get a number on it, because we've only guessed until now. Tight ends in the ESPN's market are ranging between 200 and 400K, and the West Virginia estimate for a guy like Grayson Barnes is right around 300K. Remember, West Virginia is estimated to spend at the cap right around $15.5–16 million. So they can afford this if they're spending at the cap. Grayson Barnes right around 300K. Obviously, he's a senior who had 338 yards and 4 touchdowns last year at Northern Illinois. So he is probably making great money. Offensive tackles are really interesting. Between 500K and $1 million is what you've got for ESPN's range. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say a guy like Tykees Crawford's probably at around 500 to 600K. Maybe he's down at 4 because he's coming on a bounce back from Charlotte. You've got guys like Kimo Makaniole, who come in. He was playing defensive tackle last year. So like they've saved money in places. I think I can't prove it, but if you look at the type of guys they took risks on, they went out and got Tykees Crawford, who kind of had an off year last year at Charlotte. We don't know I don't know what happened, but he only played sparingly. But obviously he started some snaps at Arkansas before that. You go out and you get a guy like Kimo Makaniole, who was playing defensive line at LSU last year, although he played 3 years at offensive line at LSU before he made that switch. It kind of gives you a reason to say, hey, look, we're going to put you at O-line, but you've been playing D-line, so how about this, right? And probably guys have taken that. Obviously, Walter Youngbear is another guy. Now, the offensive guards, by the way, and centers range between 300 and 700K. So they're not quite the 500K to 1 million that ESPN rates for tackles. So interior offensive linemen make a little bit less. I don't know how this works when you talk about cross training. If your position switches in the middle of the year, do you automatically go up to this extra pay scale? Or, there's a lot of questions that I would love to ask. But I would say a guy like Youngbear, I would place him right around 450K. A guy like Agbo, probably around 400K, right? guys like that. Nick Cray is a guy that's probably getting $500K, right? Left tackle. He's going to be starting at left tackle, but he hasn't proven anything just yet. And then you look at centers, they're also between $300K and $700K. So you look at a guy like Lennon Livingston and Carson Lee, probably both right around that $400K mark, right? So it starts to add up pretty quick. So that's total for 11 starters. You've got a quarterback at around 1.2. You got a running back at 600K. You got 3 wide receivers at about, if you want to just total them up, about 1.35 million. You've got 300K for tight ends. You've got 1.25 million for offensive tackles. Around 850K for your guards and 400K for your center, for a total of about 5.95 million for your offense. That's my personal opinion. Now, what I went ahead and did was, we know that Rich Rodriguez has invested heavily into the defense. That means over 10 million is going to be spent on this defense, and there's no doubt about it. Defense is going to cost you a little more anyway, unless you get into the elite quarterbacks and things like that. And it's an interesting list. We need to start looking at what some of these dudes are making on the defensive side of the ball. It'll shock your jocks off, buddy. We'll be right back, and we will talk just right about that. We're also going to be talking about the best arm on the team. I've got 3 videos pulled up. We're going to watch a video of Nicco. We're going to watch throw by throw. We're going to watch a throw by Nicco. We're going to watch a throw by Jaylen. We're going to watch a throw by Max Brown. And then we're going to decide as a group who has the best arm in this team. I know who I think it is. It's not a popular opinion. We'll talk about that next too. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Rugy at Ready, guys. We talk about Rugy at Ready for several reasons. You've probably heard about Viagra or Cialis, so maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugy at Ready. Rugy at Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow in the bedroom. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugy has 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to a whopping 36 hours, so you better stay confident and in control and ready when the moment strikes right for you. If traditional options haven't worked for you, Rugy might be your answer, as over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to rugy.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code, you guessed it, Locked On College, for 15% off today. Individual results are going to vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugy website for full safety information. It's segment 2. Let's crack a do, y'all, and jump back into these price points. Okay, so we spent right around $5.96 million on the offense. Let's jump in and talk about the defense now. It's an interesting group of dudes over there. We obviously don't know every starter, so we're going to be guesstimating some. But much like quarterbacks, your edge rusher gets paid well. ESPN's range between $500K and $1 million for edge rushers, right? The West Virginia estimate, I'm going to go, this is just me, I think a guy like Jamori Robinson could command a lot of money, but in light of new information, I would have had him at $1 million. If it wasn't for the eligibility concerns, I just don't know anymore. I don't know if this has been, I don't know what they've known. I don't know if he was a risk. Because if he's a risk, then he's not going to get the leverage, right? You'd have to assume that maybe he's not getting $1 million. Is he worth $1 million? Yeah, I think he is. Is he getting it? I don't know. So I'm going to put him at $700K for now, which would be the highest on the team outside of a quarterback. And then you got a guy like Eddie Kelly Jr., who I've got at about $550K. That's on your edge rushers on the defensive end side, $1.25 million. Obviously, we know about Jamori Robinson being as elite as anybody we picked up in the offseason. All right, so now you've got defensive tackles who range between 300,000 and 800,000. So you've got Hammond Russell and you've got Eddie V, right? So I'm going to estimate both of those guys to be not quite the middle, on the low end of the middle of that, and I'm going to have them both at about four. I'm going to have Hammond Russell at about 400K. Maybe Eddie V is right around 350K or something along those lines for about 750K. Obviously, that can be improved as well. You've got your linebackers that range on ESPN at between 2 and 500K. The West Virginia estimate for a guy like Wilson would be around 450K, in my opinion. I think he's right at the top. And then you look at on the lower end for a guy like Ben Bogle, who's probably at around 200K, right? In my opinion, a guy that's coming up from a lower level at Southern Illinois. He got a ton of production, but an FCS background. And you got a guy like Carrico. And here's another great point that was made in the article. Acquisition or retention? You want retention over acquisition, right? Retention costs less than acquisition in almost every single phase of this game. So it's still the same old method. Get your own guys in, develop them, pay them a little bit less than you would have to pay a guy to come in like Jamori Robinson, right? So that's still the game here, but you got to start somewhere. So you go in, you either pay for a bunch of seniors or you pay for a bunch of lower younger guys. You're going to have a couple that are just going to be juniors, but for the most part, that's what this staff did. They invested in young talent and old talent and nothing in between, right? You either want guys gone next year and you want that money back, or you want these guys that you think can be good, you can test out. And if they're going to stick around, then they turn into retention. And you should save some money that way in the long run, and continuity and the whole nine that you get with that. So obviously there's that with the linebackers. Now here's where we get big money again. Corners, ESPN's range between 3 and 800K. Michael Coach Jr. and Jordy Scruggs. I think Michael Coach Jr. is right there in that 800K range. I would be surprised if he's not, but I'm going to go 700K there. I think that's probably a safe number for him, being that he's one of the best and most highly sought after in the portal. Ole Miss was clamoring for him. They wanted him bad. We were so lucky to keep him. And then Jordan Scruggs, I've got a little bit, much less, at around 400K. It's not because he's worse necessarily. I just think that, you're coming up from South Alabama, as to where Michael Coates was, a first team, all team guy at the Division I level at Nevada. At safety, it gets interesting again. You've got ESPN's range between 300K and 700K. And you got Fred Perry, who is one of the very best in all college football, coming in. I've got him at 500K, and I think he's worth every penny. Let's do a retention piece. What about a guy like KK Tarnu? You probably get him for around 300K, right? So, and that's a pretty good safety group right there. Although they play a little bit different positions, and that's not counting a guy like Justin Harrington, who's coming off a knee from Washington. You probably got a break on him. Or what about Will Davis? A guy like that's coming up from HBCU. You probably got a little break on him because of where he's coming from. And there's other guys, obviously, that you can look to as well. The kid from Chattanooga is another one. So I think, they did a good job building this defense for what the money they had. And I think they probably still had some left over. I can't prove it, obviously. And there is obviously the budget allocation that's probably gone other places that I just haven't even thought about. But on your 11 offensive starters, I think this is because Rich Rod works, and you don't have to have elite players in every spot necessarily to make it work, $6 million, as to where I think you look at the defensive side of it and you're going to get a much heftier price tag, right? In my opinion. So even if they're down at 11 million or 12 million, right? You can still range within these ranges and figure it out somewhere, right? So now I think for the starters, you're at about 11 million. You still need to have around 4.6 to 5 million for your 83 remaining backup specialists and walk-ons. It equates to about $55,400 per player on average. But obviously, with a guy like Xavier Bosley or Carson Lee or somebody, your sixth, seventh offensive linemen are going to rate higher than your second or third in other positions. So I think it masks out pretty decent. And I think it gives us a decent mark to look at, right? We know that West Virginia spent at the cap. So that leads us to have to assume they spent 15 million. I mean, Renbecker said it openly multiple times, at least 15 million. Maybe they went a little higher even. So this is a fun exercise. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, there's no way to know what each player made. There's no way to know exactly what each guy made. But based off the research ESPN did, it gave us something to play with and within the margins, and it was kind of a fun exercise. So, but it gives you an idea of what everybody got. So let's go to break. What we do next is we got 3 quarterbacks. One runs better. One's more physical as a runner. The other one can run, but who throws better between all 3? Told you who I thought earlier. We're going to talk about that next with my hot take of the day. All right, guys. So we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and to make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. If you want to get to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started, everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And you can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out, y'all. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel. We're talking about FanDuel for multiple reasons. And as we know, football season's right around the corner. And August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on deals on deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP out, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit FanDuel's app today and start planning your future bets now, because Future Day is one day and one day only after all. Do it at FanDuel, where you can play your game. All right, guys, we are back here, Locked On West Virginia, in segment 3. Let's get to the tape, baby. This is a fun part of the show. Excuse me. Let's start out with Jaylen Henderson. How about it? Let's get over to him. We haven't watched this tape in a little while. Where are we at here? So we're going to watch a couple throws on him. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch a couple throws per guy. And then we're going to say, oh my God, who's got the better arm talent? And it's just for fun. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean anything. We're just having fun, right? We're just having a debate. I'm going to go into this and tell you guys that I do think Max Brown, who will probably be our third string guy, has the overall best arm on the team. I got a couple throws I'm going to use to make that. I don't have the throws to stick out for Jaylen or Nicco as much, but we're going to be fair. We're going to show enough throws with every guy so that we can watch them side by side and kind of get your own opinion of this. But and let me be clear, like I said earlier, I'm not making a case for Max Brown to start at quarterback. I'm not doing that. I don't think he should. I'm making a case that I think he has the most arm talent on the team. And if he can figure out his decision-making, could be a true weapon for us in a passing game. Because the more I look at this team, Rich Rod already said he's put in more pass plays, right? I mean, he said this openly multiple times. We keep hearing about this being the best slot receiver room he's ever had. I look up and down the roster and I see 10 guys that I believe can play. And I still have to think, I really think we're going to have a better passing team than people think. I really do. Let's get to the tape. This is Jaylen Henderson. Obviously, we're going to watch him just working out first. He has a little bit of a funky delivery, but the ball gets to where it's going, and it looks good sometimes as well. This is him working out a couple months ago. Very pretty looking pass there. Like to see that. So that's one. Here's another one. There's that funky delivery, right? I mean, it's a funky looking delivery the way that thing comes off his hand sometimes, right? I mean, just it's definitely always good velocity. And if you look at him on tape and stuff, like when he's in pads, it looks good, you know. And you look at a throw like that, very good throw, accurate. We'll take it. Now here's the tape that he came to West Virginia with, and it's a lot of tape, and it's good tape. Okay, so this is versus Mississippi State, right? There's a lot of running as well, so we'll watch some of that. But because I do believe that's one thing he's going to could really impact us with this year. But here's a great throw from him right down the seam. I mean, that's a beautiful throw. This kid can absolutely sling the football around. You know, right here from the pocket. It's a perfect pocket now. And you got any little foresight. This guy is kind of covered here, and he throws him into an open window, right? I mean, so the more I look at that, the more impressed it really is. This throw here, look where he lets this thing loose. Receiver's right here. He's not even open yet when he starts to uncork this thing. He's right here. He's got two guys on top of him, but he throws him into an open window at about the 25 or the 20. That takes arm strength and arm talent to do that. Beautiful throw. That's probably one of the best ones we're going to find to him. There's another one, you know, that delivery, still a little funky, right? A little funky. But, I mean, that thing's accurate and on target. You couldn't throw it any better. And we know, and here's another good throw. So, I mean, he's got a great arm. And it don't always look perfect. But, like, what he gives you from a speed perspective, nobody else gives you. That's another thing about him. You know, is he the best combination of, and look at that throw. You want to talk about putting some mustard on something? How about this throw here? He put mustard on this one. Look at the mustard, and he's really stepping into this one. This might be close to 80 or 90% of his arm strength, but look at him toss this thing in there. I mean, that's got a lot of velocity on it. So, look at that. That's another one dropped right in the bucket. And, you know, he played at A&M with all these really fast receivers and stuff. So, I mean, you know, he really got to show off and kind of stretch that arm out in different ways and places. Here's one of the best plays he's ever made. I mean, outrunning everybody to the end zone like that. I don't think we got a guy on the roster that can do that besides him. But yeah, there's another just excellent throw. You know, I mean, when he was comfortable at A&M, he made really good, accurate throws. As you can see, he's letting this thing go as the receiver turns in between two guys, a perfect throw into that window. So that's Jaylen. We've got a great sense of what his arm is, right? It's really good. Like, it's not just good, it's really good, which is why Rich Rodriguez has said on multiple occasions, my most talented quarterback room that I've ever had. Nicco Marchiol, we're on his tape now, and it is really good too. Right off the rip, you get a throw right down the field and just boom to Traylon Ray. Just an excellent throw. And this was the game against Arizona where he went 18 for 22. Here's another great vantage point, right? I love the fact that he had the wherewithal to step up in the pocket. He felt Nick Malone got beat right here. It's just the truth. He got beat. Number 3 beat him to the outside. So what'd he do? He stepped up in the pocket and made it just a dot. Great throw to Traylon Ray, and great job by Traylon Ray to stay on his feet. So you've got that throw. There's a couple throws from Nicco here early on. Here's another throw to Justin Robinson to the outside he's going to make. Location, location, location. Excellent job. These are, like I said in my earlier when I watched these videos the first time. These aren't hard throws for a Division I quarterback to make. These are just go balls, right? So I don't give a guy a lot of points for these. I want to see under pressure into windows, those kind of throws, right? This throw against Oklahoma State is one of his best, especially from this angle. Look at the velocity on this ball. Great throw. It's not a difficult one, but it's a great throw. This is the run, the big physical run. Boom. We love that one. I'm trying to get to a couple throws here. Here's one. Now, here's one of Nicco's. If you're going to put him on display and say, what can he do with his arm? This is one right here. This is a second window throw to Traylon Ray, I believe. It may be the wrong. Let me make sure. It is. Okay, so this is a second window throw to Traylon Ray, right? You've got this right here with Traylon Ray in the slot. You've got Nicco using 11 as a motion guy to try to move the defense around, right? And you see they're in zone. So, you use Traylon, and he goes right through the backers here around the referee, and Nicco makes the throw. He initially could have hit him here and down the seam, but he chose to let him get into the second window, this is the first window. This is the second window, right? And it's already released into the second window over top of two linebackers and perfectly down into the seam. So it was just a matter of whether he was going to let it go early or late into that seam. And this is a good angle of it, but the next angle, in my opinion, is the best angle of just what the heck he did there. This is a good angle. I mean, especially when you see them two jumping up for it. Right here. I mean, that's a great throw. But I think you get a better appreciation from this angle. That's a great throw, right? Right in between two guys. It's also a little risky, but I mean, he threw it in the right spot at the right place. So just a terrific throw by Nicco. Really love it. This is one of the ones against Cincinnati that's not anything special, I'm pretty sure. Here's another go ball. Trying to get to one. I think he's got one more really just impressive throw on here that I really enjoyed. Is it this one? Yeah, this is one. This is the back shoulder throw to Colt Taylor. If you look at it from the back or from this angle and the back angle, you really see like, oh, okay, like this is a next level throw. We'll see it from the back angle. So as Colt Taylor spins out, here you'll see it from the back angle. Here's Colt Taylor right here. Watch Nicco. Love this throw, man. And for a lot of different reasons. It's a pretty advanced throw as well. So you've already got Colt Taylor moving to the outside here. And look, 13's back is totally turned. Nicco takes complete advantage of that. He can't see it, right? The DB is taught, watch his eyes and watch his hands. Well, what do you get here? You got two things that make a successful back shoulder throw. You got the timing, and you've got late hands by Colt Taylor. What are late hands? Late hands are when you show your hands late so you don't tip off the DB that you're going to catch a pass. If as soon as you release the ball, I'm doing this, a DB is going to try to get in between it, right? But if you wait till the last second to put your hands up and catch the ball, the DB is not going to notice. And that's what the two things you have here. Two things, late hands and timing from Nicco, but just a great back shoulder throw and recognition when you talk about him having his back turned like he did and knowing when to do this throw because they're not, it's indefensible most of the time. It's just really hard to defend back shoulder throws, and this isn't even last year. So, great job by Nicco on that one too. So Nicco's obviously got a lot of arm talent. I don't doubt that at all. Not even a little bit. But let's go to the last guy, the guy I'm making my case for. As a thrower, not as the starter or anything like that. We already watched Max Brown yesterday, but we'll watch him again today. We'll watch this. This is him playing around in his yard, in a yard somewhere. I like to throw these just so you can get an idea for his arm talent and his arm strength. Jumping in the air, doing a pirouette, and I don't know, was he 30 inches in the air here, and throws the ball 55 yards down the field for just fun. Behind and just doing the Patrick Mahomes kind of throws. So like he does all this practicing like these kind of throws. And I mean, he's got a big arm, and when you notice that, like, he's got the baseball background he has to have, it starts to get to dawn on you, like, okay, this dude's got some arm talent. And then you pick up the tape here from when he was at Florida, and then you really start to see, like, oh, wait a second, this dude can't. He's got not just a great arm, he's got an elite arm. It's just he doesn't have the recognition to go with it yet, at least at Charlotte. 93 pass attempts, 6 interceptions last year. I don't know what happened. I want him to turn back into this, where he just makes ridiculous throw after ridiculous throw. Now, that's the bad throw. But, like, you get on to him on a couple of these. There's one. That's just an insanely good throw with the little touch right in the back of a one-handed catch from the tight end. That's crazy. There you can see some of the velocity coming off his arm here and a little juke move. That was a nasty juke move. Sometimes I forget about that on this play. Get off me. And then look at the velocity on that. I mean, that's zoomed in there. 15 almost dropped it. Here on the zone read, and he's got a quick release. But I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So if I'm making a case for Max, this is one of the best throws you can see. The amount of zing and zip he puts on this ball is pretty freaking ridiculous. That's an insanely good throw, man. At Florida, when you're playing at Florida, you're at Florida State. Just the amount of arm strength it takes to be able to do that is incredible. It lets you know why he was at Florida in the first place, in my opinion. But that's an NFL throw. Deep out and only where his receiver can get it. Tough throw to make, man. And one of the reasons, like, whenever I think about his arm, I'm like, man, it's so impressive. And it's not like he can't run with it, right? Like, we show this. So, like, if he figures it out in this offense, I don't think it's going to be this year, but next year we probably won't even take a quarterback, I don't think. If he can progress into next year and be a senior, he's already got some playing time under his belt. Max Brown could be a real sneaky pick to be our starting quarterback next year. And I'm not kidding when I say that. You know, they got him for a reason. They picked him up for a reason. And I think it's because of all this upside that he has. I mean, look at that throw. That's just an incredible throw. You know, off balance, moving backwards, the arm angle that he uses, and the accuracy as well. Really tough throw. He's so good at throwing to his left, as you see here on the read option, and he's got some quickness with that. So he's not going to outrun anybody, but, man, he's quick. He's got quick moves. So here's another great throw down the sideline, just a cannon down the sideline. So in my opinion, I think overall, when you factor in arm talent, you know, just the throws that he can make, I do give Max the edge out of all three guys, but they're all really good throwers of the football. I don't think any are bad. But this dude here absolutely has everything you need from a throwing standpoint to be one of those guys that Dana Holgorsen would just clamor over and love to have, you know. So I think it's interesting. I don't think he'll still crack the top two this year unless somebody gets hurt. And then you got Scotty Fox coming, who I would love to have played his tape too, but he has no game footage yet. And it's not fair to compare his high school footage to these dudes' game footage, which, I mean, you see this dude, he makes throw after throw against an SEC defense at that. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about Max Brown too, and
in a big game.
I'll give him the edge from a throwing standpoint.
Throws by Brown here in the first quarter.
And he even had them talking about it. Kirk Herbstreit and him, they were talking about it in this game here.
Throws by Brown here in the first
big game.
Really impressive throws by Brown here in the first quarter.
So, he was even impressing them a couple years ago. So I don't say it lightly. I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm not trying to sound silly or have a hot take, really. I just think that Max Brown is somebody to keep your eye on for the future. Hey, you know what's funny, Glenn? I tried to buy his channel, Dougie Dog. He's got over 60,000 subscribers. It just sits there. I tried to buy it. He wants a good amount for it. My only thing is, for those of you listening on audio, I'm reading a comment. I'm sorry. I forget to let the people on audio know. But yeah, so somebody said, wish Dougie Dog was still doing our hype videos. I do as well. I tried to buy his channel from him, and first of all, I would imagine it's probably it's very much, there's a lot of nostalgia there for him, I'm sure. The only that he's got the Table on Awesome video on there. But my thing is, okay, so you got 60,000 subscribers, but if you haven't posted on it in a year or whatever, you may as well have none, right? Like, I started to think about it, like, would it even be worth to buy it? It's got those subscribers still. Would anybody care? I know a lot of them are West Virginia fans, but would it be worth, let's say hypothetically, would it be worth $12,000 or $13,000? I'm not going to say what he asked for it. Would it be worth that much money? I thought about it, and if I knew it would get active and start working just like even my channel does, I would do it. Because I really feel like I need to have another channel, y'all. I've been thinking about this for a while. What if Locked On sells its company? And I also wanted to ask you guys that. What would you guys do someday if Locked On somehow sold the company and this channel that we've all kind of built together went away? Or I think about that, or maybe I say something stupid and they have to remove me. Like, it's possible. Obviously that would break my heart. But that's a reality that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they reassure me every month that it's not, but we're on month-to-month contracts. Is something to think about. So yeah, I don't know. And I definitely could just edit my videos and just do it like that, and just instead of doing lives like this. But I enjoy the live videos, man. I do. I really enjoy them. I think I've gotten pretty good at not needing to edit videos for the most part as well. This is the Mountaineer Paul channel, Eric. It just changed the name. That's my point. Like, whenever people say, like, you don't deserve this channel, like, people tell me this all the time, like, they don't like my channel or my work. They'll say, well, why don't Locked On just give this to somebody else? Well, this was Mountaineer Paul Talks Football for years. Like, I built it, I built this entire thing from scratch, from zero, with one, like, what I have, like, a year clean or something when I started doing this, and I had no vision in life. So, like, there's a lot of sentimental value in this show for me too. But part of me wonders, like, do I need, because one of the only downfalls from having to come on to Locked On was, they take control of the channel, which is fair. It's just that sometimes what happens if I couldn't perform my duties or something for a while? It's always something you think about in the back of your mind. I would hate to lose this. And so sometimes I think maybe I should get a second channel, not a competing channel with Locked On. Like, it would have to be something else, but because I think I have the base now. I think enough people know about me now that if I started another channel, I think people would subscribe there. But yeah. So anyways, I appreciate you all. As you know, we say this, we talk about this all the time. I'm honest about, like, if I'm having a thought in the moment, I tell you guys about it. I don't really sit and think about it, whether that's the right thing or not. I'm honest with you guys about everything and how I'm feeling, because I want your support. Sometimes I want your advice. Sometimes I just need to blow off steam about something. Maybe it's in the back of my mind. But yeah, Frank, that's right. Haters are going to hate. I used to roll my eyes when people said that. I've got haters. Haters are my biggest fans. Like I used to roll my eyes at people that say that until I got in this position and realized, like, man, there are some people that just don't really like me just because. Like it doesn't help that I'm, like I've said before, that I argue with people on X too much. Like, and sometimes like, well, the other day, like something I did that I feel bad about, I deleted it, was somebody was telling me I make no money doing this. And why would I, I'm probably a loser, lose my mom's basement. So I just posted what I made, and because it can be really good some months not, because it's the off season or whatever. But, on my good months, I can rival a lot of what people make in a month, but, so, I have to be better than that though, because what people do is they get these reactions out of you and then they snip it out of context and they'll be like, look what Mountaineer Paul's bragging about for no reason, and that's what happened. So I have to learn my lesson all the time about this stuff. Not perfect. I never claimed to be that, if anything, I claim to be imperfect quite a bit, but I love you guys. Thanks for letting me talk for a little bit after the show. And, thought this would be a fun show to do. The BYU video will be out this coming week, so be looking for that. I've been working on that on and off really hard. I'm excited about it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And I'll be ready to pop that thing in next week. Until then, guys, let's jump off of here. Make sure to go take that survey for Locked On. The listener survey. It is lockedonpodcasts.com/survey. Podcasts with an S, lockedonpodcasts.com/survey. And then that's where the link will be. And that way you can go and have your say with shows, and you can be a chance to win one of 100 Amazon gift cards. It's free. Just take a survey, right? So go check that out. I do need a merch store, Ranger Buck. I've been talking about that for years. And the thing is, I kind of need help getting it started. I think, is the thing. It's like, I don't even know where to begin on it. So I just don't do it, but need to be better than that. You're right. It'd be another mode of income as well. All right, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. It's game week officially. We got a lot to talk about this week. I got a friend coming on tomorrow. I don't think I have her. Let's see if I have. Oh, yeah, I'll show you the thumbnail for it just to kind of give you guys a teaser because it's pretty fun. All right, let's see. So this is the thumbnail for it. Hopefully it shows up. Okay, what time is it? 8:27. Well, I'll just do a screenshot of it then. Hold on one second. All right, let's try it like this. There we go. All right, now we can get it up. Add file. All right, so this is the thumbnail for tomorrow's show. It's going to be fun, man. This girl, and look, a lot like with Michelle, you guys enjoyed that episode. So you're not going to want to miss this one either. Super hot takes, but not just her. I mean, the takes. Oh God. So yeah, I like to bring on pretty women and let them talk about what they think about football. And actually, this girl does know a thing or two. So her dad is a coach for NC State. So she's a good person. She's cool people. Definitely be excited to have her on as well. So that'll be tomorrow at 3. I'll see you then, guys. Good night.